What's up guys, this is Patrick Hall with Fstoppers.com, and today I have it. The new iPhone 11 Pro in midnight green. It is mine. Now before I get accused of being an Apple fanboy up front, I'm gonna tell you that the previous phone I had was an iPhone 7, so I've actually not upgraded in many years. This was the first phone that I felt worthy of an upgrade. This is really exciting because it's got the 3 cameras in the back, the nice wide-angle camera in the front. Everything can now shoot 4K. It can all do 60 frames per second. This is the first phone that I thought would really be a videographer's tool. For the first time, we now have a lot of control over our lens choice, and we have a usable selfie cam where we can actually monitor ourselves on the screen. This is gonna be incredible for filmmakers, especially vloggers and people who like to do behind the scenes videos like we do when we travel around the world. Now, when Apple did their big announcement of this phone, they had a really big surprise, and that was they brought out the Filmic Pro team. And what they showed in that video is with the iPhone 11, you could take 4 live feeds, pick any 2 of them, and record them at the exact same time. You could also use 2 different microphones. This is really a filmmaker's dream because if you like to do interviews or if you like to vlog where you're showing the scene that you're looking at while also having a video of yourself, this is a dream come true. So in this video, I'm gonna tell you why the Filmic Pro has not really lived up to expectations and why it's been one of the most disappointing apps I have ever used. Am I exaggerating a little bit? Not if you saw me yesterday trying to use this app. First of all, this app costs $14.99, and this really isn't a big deal if it's an app that I'm gonna be using all of the time. I'm already paying a premium for this phone. I think I can afford a $15 app. The problem comes in when you wanna use the flat feature or the Vlog and you wanna shoot one of the profiles that gives you the most dynamic range out of the phone. You find out that you need the Cinematographer's Kit. And guess what? That's $13.99. So all in all, you have to pay about $30 to use the app that you thought was gonna cost you $15. If you go to the App Store and you look at the latest Filmic Pro reviews, there's a lot of 1 stars because people are really pissed about this. Many people feel like this was a bait and switch. You paid $14 and then you had to pay $13 once you got in the app. It's a little frustrating and I completely understand. Now, I'm not gonna complain too much about this because again, it's a tool that I plan to use all the time, but I just feel like Filmic could have been a little bit more upfront about this. Simply make an app called Filmic that does whatever the app does before the upgrade, and then make Filmic Pro, and that's gonna be unlocked with all of the features. Because the reality is, I don't know what other in-app purchases they're gonna make us buy down the road, and it has me a little worried that this is gonna be a never-ending money pit just to use their app on the iPhone 11. Now, I had never heard of Filmic Pro before the announcement of the iPhone, and the feature that really sold me on this was the dual recording. Being able to film 2 feeds at the same time really is a game changer, and I'm excited to see other developers start to use this as well. But guess what? That feature is not even available yet. Now, to be fair, Filmic Pro did say that this was a feature that was going to be available soon, but I think a lot of people, including me, kind of forgot that. We skimmed over it, we saw the footage, and we thought, man, as soon as we get the iPhone 11 Pro in our hands, we're gonna get this app, and we're gonna be able to film forwards and backwards at the same time. It's gonna be great. No, it's not available yet, and that's extremely frustrating. And just like point 1, I'm now a little worried that this is going to be another added on feature, so this app's gonna cost even more once they do release that upgrade. Now, the third problem that I have is when you go into the app, there's this cool little feature that says camera, and that allows you to choose all of the lenses, but it appears that the wide angle lens can't even be used yet. When I go to the little gear and hit the camera setting and toggle between the telephoto lens and the wide angle lens, it's not the 13mm lens at all. It's the 24mm lens. Just so you know, here's what the wide angle looks like in the native iPhone app. If you shoot wide angle at 4K and then digitally punch in, it gives you a lot of options. Unfortunately, you won't be using any of those options on the Filmic Pro app just yet. If I click the tele icon, you get the 52mm lens as expected. The zoom lens icon, which actually looks more like a tripod mounted telephoto lens, also activates the 24mm lens. The selfie icon, as expected, does let you shoot through the front-facing camera. Now, I wish they would just gray out the wide-angle lens until it was available in the API, and I also wish they would rename the tele to standard and maybe rename the zoom to telephoto. That would make a lot more sense because the zoom icon, it looks like a telephoto lens. The telephoto lens, it kind of looks like a standard lens, and then it uses the word zoom. None of these lenses actually zoom, so that's kind of confusing. I know if you're a photographer or videographer, this nomenclature is really confusing, at least it was for me. Just put the millimeter next to the name and be done with it. Now the fourth complaint that I have, and maybe this is a limitation of the API, is that you can't control the exposure on the front-facing camera. For many vloggers, this is really a camera that's super exciting because it's even wider than the previous iPhone and it shoots 4K 60 frames per second. Having exposure control over the front-facing camera really is as important as having exposure control over the 3 front-facing cameras. Another problem with the front-facing camera is if you go into the settings and change the resolution from 1080 to 4K, it flips your footage. Now I know you can go in here under hardware and you can change this by hitting flip horizontal image, but who would want to record this footage backwards anyway? Just go ahead and make the camera look normal when you flip it. Now the Cinematographer Kit is crucial for taking control over your video footage, but unfortunately, problem number 5 is, if you shoot above 30 frames per second, you can't take advantage of any of this. As you can see here, all the color profiles are grayed out and all the saturation sliders are grayed out as well. If you like shooting in 4K 60 or 1080 120, you're gonna be stuck using the vivid color profile. Next, let's talk about presets. This was by far my most excited feature that quickly turned into the most annoying feature ever. With presets, you can set all your favorite settings, save them, give them a name, and the idea is this is going to save you a lot of time. Some of my favorite settings are 4K 20, 4K 60, 1080 120, and 24 frames per second time-lapse with a 3-second shutter, which is a really awesome feature, I have to say. However, what I didn't realize until much of my footage was shot incorrectly, every time you change the camera, many of these settings arbitrarily change. So right now I'm at 4K 24 frames per second, and if I go to the cameras and change between the wide to the tele, I'm still in 4K 24. If I go to zoom, I'm still in 4K 24, but the second I hit the selfie, for some unknown reason, it drops the quality down to 1080 instead of 4K. Why? I have no idea. Now the solution for this could be just to make 10 different presets, but at some point it becomes a little obnoxious. You should be able to make 4 or 5 presets and then just change all of the cameras and have those same settings applied. Doesn't appear you can do that. Oh, and one other annoying feature is every time you change to a preset, you have to see this load preset dialog every single time. Yes, of course we know all of the settings are going to be changed when you load a preset. Now I'm sure I'm going to find more issues with this app as I use it more, but the final problem I'm going to leave you with is that when you take these files and import them into Premiere, they're not at the same frame rates that they say on the app. As you can see here, here's a 120 frames per second video clip, showing up as 104 frames per second, and all of my 60 frame per second clips are showing up as 52 frame per second clips. Now I'd expect all these crazy frame rates if the footage was filmed in the native iPhone app, because sometimes it films in a variable frame rate, but when you're filming in the HEVC Filmic codec, I would not expect this at all. So depending on how you're gonna use your files, this means you're gonna have a lot of drop frames, or you're gonna have your audio drift when you sync it up to other footage. So although I'm extremely excited about the new iPhone and the 4 cameras that you can now use, I have to say I'm a little underwhelmed, if not entirely frustrated, using the Filmic Pro app. This app was hyped up so much during the launch and it had me so excited about the phone, but having used this for a day or two now, I definitely think this is already due for a refresh, and it kind of feels like this current app is just to hold us over until the new app that they really wanted to release comes out. Will that cost extra money on top of the one we just bought? Who knows? Stay tuned to our Fstoppers channel because I do plan to release a video showcasing what the iPhone can do compared to some of our professional cameras, if I can ever get this app to actually work with me. But until then, head over to fstoppers.com for free daily content. And if you want to learn photography from some of the best photographers in the world, head over to fstoppers.com/store where you can check out our full-length photography tutorials.